It is the dead of winter on the Danube frontier, somewhere near the edge of the known world. A plague is moving through the Roman army.
The wars against the German tribes have dragged on for years with no clear end, and in a cold tent, by the light of a single lamp, the most powerful man on earth is writing notes to himself. He is not writing for an audience. He is not writing for history. He's writing again and again the same difficult lesson. Accept what is happening. Work with it. Even love it. This man is Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and the private notebook he left behind became one of the most quoted books on the planet. Today, people summarize his attitude with a famous Latin phrase, Amor Fati, love of faith. But there is a strange twist buried in that phrase, and almost no one who repeats it knows what it actually means. Here is the twist. The phrase Amor Fati, the actual two words, was not coined by a Stoic at all. It comes from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who wrote it in the late 1800s, more than 17 centuries after Marcus Aurelius died. Nietzsche called it his formula for human greatness, his way of saying that you should want nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. So, when modern self-help repeats Amor Fati and stamps it onto an image of a Roman statue, it is mixing up two different men from two different worlds. And yet, the deeper you read Marcus Aurelius, the more you realize something surprising. The phrase is Nietzsche, but the practice, the actual discipline of embracing your fate is genuinely, thoroughly Stoic. And here is the problem that makes this idea matter for you right now. Most of us spend an enormous amount of energy fighting reality. Something happens that we did not want. A plan collapses. A diagnosis arrives. A relationship ends. The traffic stops. The economy turns, and the first thing the mind does is protest. This should not be happening. This is not fair. It was supposed to go differently. We replay the moment. We argue with the past. We rehearse how things ought to have been. And all of that fighting changes nothing about the event itself. It only adds a second layer of suffering on top of the first. A private war against a fact that has already happened and cannot be undone. Think about how much of your mental life is spent this way. Not solving problems, but resenting them. Wishing the weather were different. Wishing the person had not said what they said. Wishing the test result were a different number. The Stoics noticed that this resistance is not just useless. It is the actual source of much of our misery. Reality is going to be whatever it is, with or without your approval. The storm does not care that you are angry at it. The diagnosis does not soften because you protest. So you are left in a strange position, exhausting yourself in a fight you cannot win against an opponent that does not even notice you are fighting. And almost nobody points out the obvious alternative. The alternative is the heart of what Marcus actually taught. He did not say grit your teeth and tolerate your fate. He said something far more radical. Turn the obstacle itself into the way forward. In his notebook, he wrote a line that has echoed for 2,000 years. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read that slowly, because it inverts everything. The thing blocking you is not separate from your path. It is the path, the interruption, the setback, the unwanted event. That is not a detour away from your life. It is the material your life is now made of. A fire that should have stopped you can become the very thing that drives you forward if you stop treating it as an enemy and start treating it as fuel. This is where Amor Fati stops being a slogan and becomes a discipline. It is not just about accepting bad events. It is about your whole situation, including the people in it. Marcus pushed this further than mere acceptance. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." Notice that last part. With all your heart. He is not describing a clenched, resentful endurance. He is describing something closer to embrace. The people fate has placed around you, the colleagues you did not choose, the family you were born into, the strangers you cross paths with today. This is your lot, your portion, and the Stoic move is not to merely put up with it. It is to love it truly because it is the life you actually have rather than the imaginary one you keep wishing for. But why would anyone love what they did not choose? Here, Marcus reaches for the deepest layer of Stoic thinking, the part about how the universe itself works. The Stoics saw nature as a single living system, constantly recycling its own material, breaking down one form to build the next. Marcus described it with a striking image. He wrote that the universal nature out of all materials, as if it were wax, now molds a horse. And when it has broken this up, it uses the material for a tree and for a man, then for something else, and each of these things subsists for a very short time. You are a temporary shape in that wax. So is everything you cling to and everything you resist. The job, the relationship, the body, the era you live in, all of it is the same material being molded and unmolded. To rage against your fate in this view is to rage against the very process that gave you existence in the first place. So how do you actually practice this? Not as a feeling, but as a skill. It starts the moment something goes wrong. Your default reaction is resistance. This should not be happening. The Amor Fati move is to catch that reaction and reverse it. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask a different question. This has happened. So what is the way through it that this specifically makes possible? You are not pretending the event is good. You are refusing to waste energy wishing it away and instead looking for the door it has opened. The lost job that forces a better direction. The illness that reorders your priorities. The wind that was going to blow anyway. Now filling your sail because you finally turned the boat to use it. You cannot control the wind. You can decide how to set the sail. And this is the part that makes Marcus credible rather than just inspiring. He was not writing from comfort. He wrote these lines as the ruler of an empire fighting endless wars, bearing his own children, watching plague tear through his armies, betrayed by a trusted general. He had every reason to feel that fate had wronged him, and instead of cursing it, he sat in the cold and reminded himself over and over to love it, not because his troubles were small, but because protesting them would have added nothing but more suffering. The tree growing out of the rock does not resent the stone. It uses it. It grips the only foothold it has and grows from exactly there. That is what Amor Fati looks like in a real human life under real pressure. So, the next time reality refuses to match your plan, try to shift. Notice the protest rising, the should not, the not fair, the if only. Then set it down, not because the event does not matter, but because the fight against it is the one part of your suffering you can actually end. Accept what has happened. Look for the way the obstacle becomes the path. Love the people fate has placed beside you with all your heart.
Remember that you are a brief shape in an endless churning material,
And that fighting the process is fighting the very thing that made you. The phrase may belong to Nietzsche, but the practice belonged to a Roman emperor writing alone in the dark, and it can belong to you, too. If this gave you something worth keeping, subscribe, because every week we bring one Stoic idea into sharp focus. Next time, we look at how Marcus Aurelius dealt with difficult, toxic people.
and the morning ritual he used to strip them of their power over his mind before the day even began.